After almost a year, this moleskin watercolor sketchbook is finally filled, and I'm so excited to show you everything that is in there. This is seriously my favorite sketchbook that I've filled so far, so let's get right into it. The day has finally come where I can show you this finished sketchbook. It's gotten quite thick, but I've had thicker ones. I did not glue a lot in there. I don't think I glued anything in there, just a few stickers. And I just used watercolors, so it buckled up a little bit, but it's not that thick actually. And this is a moleskin watercolor sketchbook. At the front cover, we already can see 2 of my stickers that I also sell in my store. So if you like those, check out my store and you can order them there. These paintings are also inside the sketchbook, so let's get started and take a look at it. At the first page, we already have a little bit of decoration. Those are stickers. I think that one is from Lee Alexson. I'm not completely sure. That one might have been from In Liquid Color, which is Denise Sodan, and this one might have been from either Mini Small or Arla Bean. I was a Patreon supporter of both of them, and they have such a similar style that I can't tell their stickers apart. So I really like the combination of those stickers. I like that there's those 2 more square ones and this one, and I love those colors together. And on here we have one of my lino prints from one of the stamps that I created. Then heading into the sketchbook, we have more stickers. Those were from Arla Bean. I think that one might have been from Mini Small and that one as well. I'm not completely sure, but those are from different artists. And then these 2 pages, I used pastel watercolors and just messed around with it a little bit. Those are just very, very simple paintings. And here are paintings that I used for my Skillshare course on how to grow an art channel on YouTube. It's kind of weird to see this out of context here. It's a magnifying glass, and I painted this for the section of the course where I talk about ranking in search on YouTube, and for that it was really fitting, and it was really fun to paint this magnifying glass and to consider what the area behind it would look like, and that was really fun. And this one was from the same Skillshare course, and this section was the one about community, about commenting and all those things, which is why those 2 fish are having a lovely conversation together. And at that point I was really into this doodly style with all of the plants around the animals. And here we have a gouache double page spread. This was actually quite popular on my YouTube channel, and I'm considering doing more of these again. I haven't done that much of those simple landscapes lately, but maybe I will do a little bit more in the future again. I'm happy with how these ones turned out, especially that one. That one I wasn't too happy with when I did it, but looking back at it, I like it much more now. Now this piece I followed a Skillshare course by someone else to create this and learned a lot from it. And this one is the painting for this little sticker. So here's the original of this little otter. I'm so happy with how this turned out. The only thing that I didn't like was the tail. I think that it looks kind of weird, but looking back at it on the reference picture, the tail looks weird as well, and they just have very weird tails, so just accept it. And yeah, I think that he looks super cute, and I really love the colors and the doodles around him. And here's another one of these more simplified gouache landscapes, and those were tutorials on my channel as well. I think those were quite popular as well. I've seen a lot of recreations of that one on Instagram. People seem to love it. And here's another one of these. For some reason, that video didn't get as many views, I think. I don't know how many views it has now. Sometimes after a while, they start to gain views. But back then, that one wasn't as popular. And I was actually quite surprised because I was really happy with how this one turned out. This one, yeah, it's okay, I guess, but I really loved that one actually, and love how I simplified the style here. I just did not like the paints that I was using for it. Here's a completely different style now. I was doing some pen art with the Arteza fine liners and just playing around with them and really just doing different things with them. And I think that it looks fun, but it's also, there's a lot going on here. Then we have two more of these. I also have those as stickers in my shop. I called all of those the golden boys because they're all golden and I just loved that color at the time. I always get obsessed with a certain color scheme and then I use it everywhere. So that was the color scheme at that time and I think those looked so cute together. And here's another one of the golden boys. This is a reference picture that I actually took myself of one of my gerbils back in the day. Unfortunately, they don't live that long, so they're no longer with us, as well as multiple hamsters that I've had. But they were really cute, other than the fact that they loved to bite me. But they stopped biting after a while. They were just really shy at first, but then they were really cute and they never ran away. They were so cool with staying in one place, whereas hamsters, they always want to get away. So here's a fun doodle feathery page. And here's the last one of this series. I actually have a sticker bundle of all of those 5 ones on my store if you want to get all of them. And this one was for the same Skillshare course that I'd mentioned earlier. And this was the section on purpose and finding your purpose, why you're actually doing this and why you want to have a YouTube channel. And here's another one of these. That was actually a Patreon exclusive tutorial. And then recently I used the footage of this for a sketchbook ideas video as well. That was when my hand was hurting really bad and I couldn't record any videos. So I used that footage. And also my Patreon is no longer public. I unpublished it, so it didn't matter anyways. So I used that footage again. And yeah, I don't really like them so much. Honestly, it's not the kind of style that I want for my art, but people seem to have loved, especially that one on TikTok and Instagram. I think that one kind of blew up on TikTok and people loved it. I think it looks cute, but it's not my favorite piece. And these were from the Skillshare course as well. I think that one was about taking good pictures of your art for the thumbnails, maybe something along the lines of that. This is why there's a camera. And that one was about consistency and uploading every week and having an upload day. And in this little calendar, I put the filming, editing, uploading, whatever, idea finding or whatever that should be, and just did my best to make a cute calendar. And I had a fun time coming up with different pictures that I could paint alongside the information that I was giving in the course. And to this day, this is probably the course that I'm most proud of. I love this course so much, and if you want to grow an art YouTube channel, check it out. I should have sold that one actually and not made it so cheap on Skillshare because it took so much work to create this and there's so much valuable information in it. But oh well, now more people can watch it and it is available. So there's that. And these were gouache tutorials on my channel as well. And these were also prints for Patreon rewards. I don't do prints at the moment because it's just not worth it. And I don't have a professional printer and I don't want to get one. I just bought a cheaper one and we will see if the prints are worth anything, if they look okay. If they do, I might include free prints alongside my sticker orders in the future, but I don't want to sell the prints if they are not high quality. And this was a comparison between acrylic gouache, watercolors, acrylic paint, and gouache. And I tried my best to paint the same picture 4 times. Of course, it's not 100% the same, but I tried my best, and to also show the different effects that you can get here with the watercolors, with these effects, and then the more smooth acrylic gouache, and the acrylic paint is super glossy in comparison. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you can see it like that. The acrylic gouache is super matte, and gouache is matte as well, and I talked about the differences of those in that video. And this is a super colorful page, makes me really happy. I used the Viviva color sheets for that, and I have to admit that I no longer own them because I did not have the best time using that, in terms of that they were really flimsy for me to work with, because I just got dirty, was touching the sheets over and over again. But the colors are super vibrant. So if they were to create a regular watercolor palette, I would definitely get it because I love the colors. And if you're okay with the whole watercolor sheet thing, then maybe they're for you, but I just didn't like that. I want a real palette. And for this, I was using Arteza watercolor brush pens, and for this, I liked them, and I liked them at first. I think that in the video I actually said that I liked them because that was honestly my first impression of them. But then I donated them to my therapist, who also works with children, because they have individual hair and the nibs are really hard to work with and they're not as juicy as I want them to be, so I didn't really feel the need to keep them, and so I gave them away. But I really loved those doodles, and that one, as well as the mushrooms, they turned into stickers. And I think that one was a Patreon exclusive tutorial as well, which was also recently included in one of the sketchbook ideas videos, and that one must be a tutorial on my channel as well. Here's some screen caps from Shira. I did those with acrylic markers, and I really like acrylic markers, but these pictures were maybe a little bit too small for the size of the nibs that I had, and I also tried to keep it as simple as I could, and I didn't have as much experience yet with them, so this was the first time I was using them. So obviously, looking back at it, I can see that there are lots of things that I could improve on this, but it was just the first play around with them, and I think it looks really cute, and I love those colors. And here's a page spread that I also did on my channel. Those were 2 individual gouache tutorials. I'm still happy with the color selection of those, and I think they're fun to look at now. This one, I really love this one. Unfortunately, it didn't get as many views on YouTube, and I was really surprised about that because that's a very simple landscape, and that would be very beginner friendly to paint something like that, but didn't get as many views. I don't know why. Maybe it was the energy of me in the video, maybe it was the thumbnail. Sometimes that happens, but I still really like this page. And that one was another tutorial, and both of those were done with acrylic gouache, and I was really getting into acrylic gouache at that time, and I love the details that I put into this and the cottagecore vibe, so I'm still really happy with how this turned out. And then there's that one that was acrylic gouache as well. I think that might have been even in the same video as that one, maybe, I'm not sure anymore, but or it was in a video with something else, that's what I'm sure about. And yeah, I mean, it's okay, I guess. I know that there's a lot of things wrong with this page, but I'm trying not to criticize it too much. And I love just this without any frame, completely filling the page, and I might do more of that in the future. And here's my first try or first attempt at copying Studio Ghibli scenes. That's from the movie Totoro, and I loved those scenes. I love the way this looks, and I'm so proud that I managed to paint these tiny little details here. This is really very small, and I'm still very happy with how these turned out. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And here's a very colorful page. For that, I used neon watercolors that I actually got from an Etsy seller, and I linked them in the video in which I did this, and also in a recent video. If I don't forget, I might also link them on this video, but there's a lot of supplies that I used for this, so I'm not sure if I can keep track of them all. I used Staedtler watercolor pencils for this one, and that was around the time where I created a course for them, so I was getting used to those. And this is a vintage Polly Pocket thing. And here's another one of these page spreads. That might be one of my favorites in here. I love it so much. I love the color palette. I love the way that I executed this. I'm very proud of this, especially the one on the right. If I had to create prints now, I would probably do those. So I really, really like them. Then this was for a Skillshare class of mine where I show you step by step how to create those. And if you want to have a step-by-step tutorial that's much slower than the tutorials on YouTube and really more beginner friendly in that way, then this is a really good course for you to check out. Here I copied even more scenes from Studio Ghibli movies. This time I used Arrietty as a reference. I loved that movie. It was so cute. I love all the flowers, so of course I had to do this. I'm so happy with how these scenes turned out. I really tried my best to copy them, and I was actually quite anxious copying them because they're so beautiful and I didn't want to mess it up, but I think that I did a really good job on it. And this one is probably my least favorite one in this sketchbook. I mean, the color palette is okay, I guess. I just don't like the execution of this too much. It looks like something that I might have done a few years ago where it was just doodling, which is okay. But I think that it could have been a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more detailed. It's not my favorite. It's not that bad either. There's no page that I really hate in this sketchbook, which is really something. And here's a very fun page where I just did different backgrounds in different colors and then painted something over them, and this is how it turned out. And here I was going more for an impressionist style, or whatever you want to call it. You can clearly see the brush strokes in there, and I was going for something that's a little bit more painterly, I guess. So little less detailed and just focusing on the most important brush strokes. And I'm not sure if I can pull off that style to an extent that I would want to be able to do it, but it was a good first attempt. Now this one, a lot of people seem to like this one. I don't like it for some reason. I can't really tell you why. I don't like the colors. I mean, it's not that I hate this piece. I still like it more than the doodly one because the execution's a little bit better in my opinion. But I think it's the colors, and I don't know why. I don't like the red-green combo. I think that's the reason why I don't like it as much. And here I started the 100 landscape challenge. I think that was the first page spread that I counted for this, and I started off with 6 landscapes to really get started on this and did those mini landscapes, which is always a good idea to practice landscapes. And then we have some bigger ones, and here the gouache, it rubbed off onto the other page a little bit. It's not too bad, but you can clearly see it, and sometimes that happens, and honestly I don't worry about it too much. And here's something that I did more recently. I love those colors, they're so bright, and I also used the neon watercolors here and Korean brush markers for this area, and I'm just really happy with how the colors look here. And this is very recent. I used watercolors and the Staedtler watercolor pencils and colored pencils and a pen and a gel pen, and just played around with this and doodled something. This was also in my last video, as well as this page spread where I doodled your suggestions on Instagram. A frog, a dolphin. I made it into a banana dolphin. This is a gay frog for pride. Then a rose, chrysanthemums, or whatever those are called. Those are very pretty flowers. Mount Fuji, and a seascape. And I also used watercolor pencils for this, just in case I haven't mentioned it yet. And here's a very, very simple last page where I did a background and then put some of my favorite stickers on there. And then I marked the date that I started and the date that I finished this, and then we are done. It took me almost a year to finish this, and I'm so glad that I'm finally done with it, honestly. But I have to admit that this is my favorite sketchbook that I've filled so far, and I'm really proud that I could fill a book with so many good pieces. And looking back at it, I think I'm not that bad of an artist after all, so I really should stop pressuring myself, and I'm so happy that I managed to pull this off. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!